Welcome to Selling in the Motor Trade, in association with Automotive Management and symcotraining. This is the weekly podcast where we share best practice, tips and ideas on how to sell more cars, improve your service department, and generally put more profit into your dealership or dealer group. I'm your host, Simon Bowkett, or some of you might already know me as Skippy. And firstly, I want to say thank you for taking the time to tune in. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Selling in the Motor Trade. Today, I'm really excited to be joined by William Brown, the Managing Director of Isuzu. Now, I love speaking to Managing Directors of manufacturers, distributors, but actually, I'm really keen to speak to William because he's been on both sides of the retailing world. I understand he started off in dealer world and now is the Managing Director of Isuzu. So I just want to say welcome aboard, William. Really appreciate you taking the time to be interviewed for this podcast.
No problem. Thank you, Simon.
Now, we like to ask our guests a few questions to start with. A quick fire round, we like to call it. So can I ask you, what would you prefer, William, a beach holiday or a city break?
City break.
A cold beer or a glass of wine?
Definitely the beer.
Definitely the beer. Okay. Italian meal or a curry?
Italian meal. I'm part Italian, so it's always Italian.
That sounds nice then. Italian meal. Okay. A good movie or a book?
Movie.
And iPhone or Samsung?
iPhone.
Okay. And the last one, are you a morning person or are you a night owl?
Morning.
Morning person. Perfect. Well, listen, William, to start off with, please tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get started in the motor trade?
Started in the motor trade from a really, really early age. I've always been interested in cars. I think my first, probably when I was about 4 or 5, I used to dress up in a kind of Massey Ferguson tractor outfit, but I thought it was a racing driver's outfit and I wanted to be a racing driver.
Okay.
And then I was interested in designing cars, but then through school, didn't get into that kind of career path. And then I got a job as a trainee car salesman at a Toyota dealership in the centre of Birmingham quite some time ago now. And,
okay. The trainee car salesperson. So this separates the real motor traders. Do you remember the first car you sold?
I do. I don't know if you remember, Simon, a car called the Carina. Toyota.
I know it well, yes.
It was a 1.6 XLI, so the poverty model, smallest engine.
Yes, okay. And do you remember the people you sold it to?
I do, yes. Yeah. In fact, that was the first vehicle. It was my company car. And I got a speeding fine in it.
So you really do remember it. Fair enough. So there's that boy racer, that racing car, wannabe racing driver coming out again. Yeah. Fair enough then. Well, listen, William, we often learn things in the first 90 days of our career, good and bad, that lasts us for the rest of our life. Is there anything you can remember back in the first 3 months of selling cars that you think is still as relevant today as it was when you started?
Yeah, I certainly do. My early career as a car salesman, it wasn't the most expected career for me because my personality trait is I'm a bit of an introvert, and stereotypically people would assume that a car salesman, you have to be quite extroverted and outgoing. And I can remember when I started, there was 1, 2, 3. I was the 4th salesperson, so there's three salespeople in the showroom, and the first salesperson was the kind of guy who's got the gift of the gab. He had the receptionist tapped up with lots of chocolate. So that basically any sales inquiry that came through, it would get passed on to him. Then you had another guy who'd been there since the year dot, and he was about 60, 70, and he had a book of all his contacts and never left his desk. He's basically just ring customers up to say, it's about time you changed, about time you changed. And you had another guy who we called the goal hanger, who used to literally park himself at the front door of the showroom. So any walk-ins he would get. So the phone calls were dealt with, the repeat customers were dealt with, and the walk-ins were dealt with. And I was the new guy on the block, thinking, how the hell am I going to sell cars? Where am I going to get these customers from? So I went to the sales manager and he said, how are you getting on? I said, yeah, I'm all right. But explained my problem. He said, well, here you go. In these days we had faxes. He said he kind of got them from the bottom of his drawer and said, here's a bunch of leads to follow up, because the salesmen, they're not interested in following these leads, but you have a go. So I started to follow these leads up diligently, because it was the only thing I had to do. And slowly but surely, I'd arrange appointments. And then these people going, why are these customers coming in asking for William? What's it all about? Where are they coming from? It was just because I was following up the leads. And that was probably my best lesson that I learned. And that stayed with me throughout my career selling vehicles. And lead management, it taught me a big lesson. And I never relied on walk-ins then, because I always had appointments coming in to see me. And the walk-ins were like the icing on the cake. They were the easy sales. It was the leads that the ones that made me become a good salesperson.
That's so funny, because at the moment, listen, we've just come through this pandemic. Selling used vehicles has kind of been like shooting fish in a barrel for any used car retailer for the last, I don't know, since when the dealerships opened again. And there's something we're noticing. We run our training program, the selling cars in the online world. And part of it, we mystery shop lots of dealers. And there's something we've noticed. The email inquiries, before the pandemic, they were being dealt with quicker and quicker and quicker. Now, after that, we're getting people just not getting back to us at all. We did a course last week. We're running them regularly at the moment, and it's appalling, the response we're getting. One response to, can you tell me, is the car available? And if so, what's your best price? It just come back, yes, it's available. I'll do it for 17,000. If you're interested, give me a call. I mean, it was crazy. This was stuff we would hear before, but following the leads up, it's the basics when you started that's still so important now. And it amazed me, it just doesn't happen. Yeah. So William, tell me, how did you get into the being a distributor, working for that side of it? Talk to me about the change from dealer to distributor.
Yeah. Being on the dealer side, my area manager would come in and see me. And I think my last job in a dealership was working at a Lexus garage. And I thought, that would be quite good to see how it works from the other side of the fence. But I never knew how to get into it. And I remember in the back of Autocar in those days, they would advertise salesmen's jobs at dealerships or manufacturers. And there was 2 jobs advertised, one for Subaru and one for Mitsubishi. The Mitsubishi job, you had to have a university degree, which I haven't got. And the Subaru one, it said, if you've got dealership experience, that's good. So obviously, the Subaru one's the one that I got. I started off as a regional manager working for Subaru and Isuzu at that time, both dual branded.
Okay, then. So the people who don't know the IM Group then, can you tell us a little bit about IM Group and their background?
Yeah, IM Group's been around for a while now as distributor. 1976 it started up, family-run business, father and son, still in the business now. He started it up, he got made redundant, Jensen Motor Company, a very famous British brand, which is now no longer around. And he got his redundancy, and with that money, he started up a parts business, and that led him on to Subaru, importing Subarus in 1976, Isuzu in 1987. He's had other franchises along the way, like Hyundai and Di Tommaso and SsangYong and stuff like that. But it's a very family-run business. It's unlike working for a big PLC. You definitely feel like you're part of a big family.
Yeah, I've got to say, we deal with lots of manufacturers or OEMs, and you come into the IM Group, and it's something you can't measure, you can't calculate it, but it does feel like that family. And it always amazes me how much you know the dealers. And you talk about an individual dealer who needs help, and you know them intimately. And that's not just put on for show. It really is part of the culture. That you feel a part of the business there. So continue. What drives you every day in the business then?
I think it's part of the culture within the business. I've never worked for another manufacturer, so I can't prejudge, but the job description is quite a wide remit. So you're not segmented into do a particular thing in a particular way. You can make the job your own. So people come into work and you really can make the job what you want it to be, and that gives you great job satisfaction. So I come into work every day enjoying my job, and working with people and the dealers. Like you said, we're a people business, and so we're not stuck behind laptops just sending emails all the time. It's getting on the phones, going out in your car. It's just a great job to be in. I'm really fortunate to do something that I love.
Great. Okay. Well, William, I'd love to get your views on Mitsubishi. Mitsubishi's pulling out of Europe. As we all know, that was a shock, I think, to a lot of people, including Colt Cars, from what I understand there. That must leave lots of opportunities for you in terms of picking up market share from some of those dealers, and of course, maybe the dealers themselves. So could you just talk to me about what are the opportunities you see from the demise of Mitsubishi pulling out of Europe?
Yeah, well, it was obviously quite a sad thing, and like you said, it was a shock. I don't think anybody expected it, but it has generated an opportunity for us. We're a one model brand selling pickups. L200 have done historically really, really well in the pickup market. We've had some big market share, and I think a lot of those Mitsubishi dealers that have been around for 20, 30 years, in some cases, very similar to our dealers. They're family-run, owner-driver businesses. And now they've got a bit of a problem where you've probably got 3 or 4 generations of customers buying a product, and they still need to buy a pickup. And the Isuzu product, in some cases, will fit quite nicely. It's a Japanese brand, a bit like Mitsubishi was. We have a similar type of dealer network, owner-driver type of business. So there's a lot of similarities, and we have had many approaches from the Mitsubishi network to find out more about Isuzu.
Okay. Mitsubishi, I think, is roughly a 10,000 units franchise, somewhere around that. But you said it just before that you're seen as a one model franchise, where, of course, Mitsubishi didn't just have that one model. You've got, is there a chance for you to expand to that? How much of that market can you really get with your just one model?
Yeah. Well, prior to knowing Mitsubishi were going to be leaving the market early, we'd set a long-term goal to do 10,000 units by 2025. And we knew we got a new model on the way, which is going to be with us early next year. And so we do see there's a big opportunity for growth. The pickup market's a very popular sector in automotive. It's one of the kind of up-and-coming trends. I wouldn't say it's going to ever be as big as an SUV, but it feels like there's real momentum behind it. They're very kind of, it's a workhorse, but they're also can be a lifestyle vehicle, dual purpose vehicle, and the comfort in them now is very similar to an SUV. Got all the mod cons. So we see there's growth potential. And of course, the other thing, Simon, is we're a one model brand, but we don't go with the costs that you would associate with a 4 or 5 model brand. So in terms of profitability, there's some good profitability to be made because the costs are much lower than you would be operating something like a full Mitsubishi dealership.
Okay, then. Now, and also from obviously you're having this conversation with Mitsubishi dealers wanting to come on board. The chance for that Mitsubishi dealers return on the investment there. There seems to be a race to the bottom sometimes with other franchises pre-registering left, right, and centre targets like that. Can you talk me through your philosophy about how you run your network and what you'd aim to keep it profitable?
Yeah, of course. We do operate a lot different because we don't chase market share. We obviously have sales targets, but we don't do things for the sake of just achieving that high market share. We're fortunate we don't get a huge amount of pressure from the manufacturer to do registrations just to do them for vanity purposes. So we have a sustainable business. We don't do pre-registrations where we don't encourage them. We don't deal with brokers. We try and put all of our retail business through our dealer network. So it goes back to what you were saying, Simon. We're a one model brand, so we've got to make it work for those dealers. And with the average sales that they do, we've got to make it as profitable as possible. So we try and keep the costs as a minimum, make this franchise very simple to run, but also very a fun place to be as well. We think it's important that you should have fun in the Isuzu business.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Speaking to the retailers you're working with, that comes through all the time. IM Group are easy to work with. They don't make us jump through a whole lot of hoops. It's this easiness, and we can make money and have fun. And that definitely comes across from the dealers that we speak to. In fact, also, I was speaking to an Australian dealer this morning, and they've got the D-Max that you're launching early next year, I believe, already. Now, the Australian market for the pickups is a big market. They're aiming, I think it's 24,000 units for next year. But he said, I thought this might be interesting. He said, for the first time, we've got people walking out of a Toyota dealership across the road to us to have a look at the D-Max and going with the D-Max. And that's a huge thing for, because Hilux in Australia has been market leading for such a long time, to have that vehicle. And the other thing that was, I said to him, so is it the farming market? Is it construction? He said, yeah, of course. We've always been known for that. But he said, you know what? It's the families. The families are really where we're seeing the big growth, because they're seeing a car as well as truck. Is that where you see some of your growth with the new D-Max as well?
Yeah, absolutely. We're never going to leave our kind of working background. We'll always be a working pickup first and foremost, because that's what pickup's designed to do: carry weight and tow heavy things. So we'll never leave that. And farmers are probably our biggest customer base. But certainly, as you said, with this new model, it's much more, it can cater at both ends of the market. We can still do that ultimate working vehicle, but we can also appeal more to the lifestyle customer. And I've been fortunate enough today, Simon, to have a look at the new one. We've got a prototype vehicle here. I've just had my first test drive of a European spec prototype vehicle.
Yeah,
I have to say it's absolutely fabulous. The existing model was great, but this one just takes it to another level. In every area, it's improved. So we're really, really excited about it.
cool. So you said your aspirations, if I remember correctly, 10,000 units by 2025.
Yeah.
Have you changed that timing on that with the new model coming out, markets leaving, or is that still the plan?
Still the plan. It may come a little bit quicker now, because at the time we set that target, we hadn't anticipated Mitsubishi would be leaving. So we're hopeful that we may get to that target before our original 2025 target that we had. So it's looking very positive at the moment.
Okay. Well, listen, with your retailers, I think it's just over 100 retailers you currently have. Talking before this, I know that you're looking for the 110, around that sort of range there. So you're speaking to lots of retailers. Can I ask you, what are some of the keys that stand out in a quality retailer for you? When you're dealing with one of your existing retailers or looking at a new retailer, what are some of the keys that stand out for you?
Yeah, it's always the same, Simon. It's always about the people. They've got to have some focus, some passion and dedication. If we've got those three things, then we're on to a winner. We can have fantastic premises, we can have the best processes, but if you don't have people that believe in the product and focused and dedicated, then it doesn't work. So as you said earlier, we're a people business. We like to meet the people, get to know them really well. And also, when we go and speak to somebody about the franchise, we won't just talk to the DP or the owner. We'll talk to the salespeople as well, because those are the people at the end of the day that are selling the product. So we want to get a feel for most people in the business.
Yeah, with that in mind, what percentage of your network would be PLC to owner driver? I asked that question because I imagine in PLC it's harder to get that focus on your brand.
Yeah, you're right. Very few PLCs. We've got a few. But I wouldn't say they're handpicked, but more or less. And we've just recently had a really good PLC come on board with us, and but they've given it the focus and dedication. So we've got a dedicated person who knows the product really well and is our key contact, lives and breathes it. And so they haven't treated it like a bolt-on where they said, right, we've got Isuzu and you can sell it, but you also sell this, you also sell that, you also sell this, because there's not enough. We're not like a volume franchise. So you need that person that's going to give it the focus and attention it deserves. So it can work in PLCs, definitely. And the dealer we've appointed just recently, look like they're going to be a really top dealer for us.
Great. Okay. And again, I go back to when you say the Mitsubishi dealers, they had people focused on that L200, and it sounds like they're selling them again and again and again. It's only that personal approach that will enable that.
Yeah, definitely.
Great. Okay. Well, listen, clearly retailing has changed with this pandemic and was changing already. Where do you see the future in the next couple of years with online purchasing, the digital side of it, or do you still see the clicks and the bricks? What are your views on the future?
Yeah, I think where we're sat, which is a commercial vehicle, we're, as you put it, clicks and bricks. We need to be online. We need to be more approachable to those customers that want a digital journey. But I think it's very important we have that physical approach as well. That's our customers are hardworking customers. They like to press the metal, go into the showrooms, and so I think in all automotive, there's still a human element. I recently bought a vehicle, my first car I've ever bought, really, because I've always had company cars, a sports car, and I could have bought it all online because I had a configurator. It was all online, but I still wanted to go and meet the salesperson, go in the showroom, touch the vehicle, even though I didn't have to. It's, it's one of those things, isn't it? You spend some money. In some cases, you just want to touch it and see it and drive it, and
Yeah.
so I think
Yeah.
that's still important.
Definitely with your current model lineup, because I have so many of customers we've spoke to of yours that they look at the engine sizes and saying, hold on, it's not big enough. I need a big cubic capacity, but there's nothing like hooking up a trailer to it. Let's go for a drive and let's see what it's like in the real world. Actually stopping on the side of the hill, putting it in second gear and let them take the clutch out and let it see how the torque is still there. I think your model, there's always going to be a place for that. Sure, people research online, but they still want to come and touch it and feel it there.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's how you see it then. Perfect. Hey, William, lots of people listen to this podcast will be salespeople, sales managers, people are starting off in the industry. And something I'd like to ask is, what advice would you give to that young William Brown starting those years ago? What advice would you like to give them so they could achieve what you've achieved in the motor trade?
I think when I started out, and it's different because people have different personalities, but being true to yourself. So not trying to pretend something that you're not. You see many great leaders in businesses and you look at them and think, I need to be like that. But if you find your own way of making it work for yourself, as long as you're hardworking and authentic, I think authenticity is a great trait because people need to trust you. So yeah, but a lot of my success, I'd say, in the early days, particularly, a lot of hard work and hours, but it pays off. It depends how much hard you want it, really. I think I remember when I was a salesman back in that Toyota dealership, my service manager came through to me and he said to me, he had a go at me for something, and he said, "You'll never make it. You'll never get past a salesman. You'll just end up being a salesman for the rest of your life." And look, I'm not that salesman anymore. So if you want it hard enough, if you want it strong enough, and work hard, then I think anything's possible in automotive. And it's a very exciting business to be in.
I bet you remember that conversation every day now. And was that part of the motivation, do you think, at some time?
I think so. I think it helps, doesn't it? If people say you can't do it, you want to prove them wrong.
Isn't that so true?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so true. You just want to, let me show you. We'll go out there and do that. So listen, if there's potential dealers out there, is the network, are you still looking for potential dealers? Should people still contact you? Or I imagine you've been inundated by lots of Mitsubishi people recently.
Yeah, we're getting inquiries quite regularly from Mitsubishi, but other partners as well.
Yeah.
I think because pickup is on the rise and we seem to have quite a good reputation for good people to do business with, that helps. So we will speak to anybody that's interested. I mean, obviously we've got a few open points around the country.
Okay.
Things change, particularly in the pandemic at the moment. So we're open to conversation with anybody that's interested, even if it's not for immediate. It could be some point in the future.
Okay. So, William, what's the easiest way for people to get hold of you? Do people follow you on social media? Do you have a high social media following, or what's the easiest way for them to get in contact with you?
Yeah, just come through to our website. I mean, we've got a contact page. I'm not, I haven't got a massive social media following, so it's probably just as easy to go through to either International Motors. You can find we've got our own website for International Motors, or go through to zuzo.co.uk and we've got contact us on the website. So probably those two are the easiest ways.
Okay. Well, listen, over the next 5 years, it's going to be exciting growth. Doubling the volume in any network there's going to be lots of exciting times, lots of challenge, lots of growing pains, I imagine, but exciting times. I wish you all the best for that. Well, listen, I just want to say it's been a pleasure working with the IM Group, because it is not just talk. It is that family feel of the business there, and it's life is so simple with IM Group, so simple, and that's what I find the dealers love it as well. So I wish you all the success, and you know what? I know that you'll get to that probably a lot before 2025. The 10,000 units, I think they'll come up very, very quickly. So again, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Simon. Thank you.
Thanks. That just leaves me to say that all details of this episode and other episodes on the selling in the motor trade can be found on our website, symcotraining.co.uk. Go there to get a copy of our book, Words That Sell Cars. Go there to sign up to a free trial of our Sales Fitness online sales training program. Easiest way to get hold of me is Simon Bowkett through LinkedIn. Thank you.